Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ dhammāṃ saṅghāṃ namasami. Okay, we're on page 934 of Buddhadhamma, section H, sharing of material gains within the monastic community. So far, the emphasis has been on the lay community. Let us turn our attention to the monastic community. Do not believe that the life of the monastic community revolves only around formal meditation practice. The terms meditation or Dhamma practice can either be given a too narrow definition, or else their definitions are vague and ambiguous, to the point that one sometimes needs to avoid these terms or to use them with care. In fact, every valid activity of a monastic can be described as Dhamma practice, and anyone, monastic or layperson, who engages in proper giving, dana, need accord with this principle of Dhamma practice. By examining the monastic's life in relation to the formal discipline, Vinaya, one sees how this life is communal, and one also sees how it is distinguished from lay life. The communal life of the monastics, which is guided by the formal discipline, is at heart connected to essential Dhamma principles, because the gist of the Vinaya corresponds to the Dhamma, to principles or teachings of truth. Yet this connection needs to be discerned accurately. The communal life of the monastics is based on harmony, which is generated and sustained by way of the formal discipline. As soon as we focus here on harmony, we have immediately linked up with the Dhamma. At this point, we can look at those principles which act as a foundation for harmony. A repeated teaching in both the Suttanta Pitaka and the Vinaya Pitaka is that on the 6 virtues conducive to communal life, Saraniya Dhamma, which are applied directly for sustaining the stability of the monastic community. This is a teaching for practical application. For example, one accesses the internal spiritual virtue of loving kindness and expresses it outwardly in daily life. These 6 virtues are given great importance in the context of monastic community life. Let us review these factors. 1. Physical acts of loving kindness. Metta kaya kamma. Acting out of mutual consideration and cooperation. 2. Verbal acts of loving kindness. Metta vaci kamma. Speaking out of kindness and well-wishing. For example, one advises and offers instruction by using polite and courteous speech. 3. Thinking of others with loving kindness. Metta mano kamma. Maintaining thoughts of well-wishing and concern for others. Remaining in good spirits. 4. The sharing of gains. Sadharana-bhogi or Sadharana-bhogita. Satarana-bhogita. Satarana. I'm not good at sight reading Pali. Sharing one's material gains, say of requisites or food, with others so that everyone can partake of them. Sadharana-bhogi literally means eating or consuming things as public, common goods for the benefit of all. 5. Keeping equal moral standards. Sila samanyata. Keeping equal standards in light of the formal rules of conduct. Vinaya. Refraining from making oneself objectionable or disagreeable to one's community. 6. Being endowed with right views along with one's companions. Ditti samanyata. To return to the subject of generosity, one may ask, since monks do not earn a livelihood, do not seek or accumulate material things, and do not own wealth or property, how are they able to give? Here, we won't discuss the gift of Dhamma, Dhammadana, which in reference to monastics is often paired with the material gifts by lay people. In regard to monastics and material things, generosity or the act of giving is represented by the fourth factor of the virtues conducive to the communal life above, namely the sharing of gains. If one overlooks a study of the formal discipline, Vinaya, one will not appreciate the importance that Buddhism gives to people's relationship to material things. In the context of monastic life, the Buddha gave great emphasis to the sharing of material requisites. The Vinaya contains key principles and guidelines for sharing gains in a righteous and thorough way. Besides focusing on these matters of material gain, the Vinaya also addresses a system of communal living. Indeed, the sharing of gains is an aspect of communal life. And as stated earlier, the Vinaya is linked with the Dhamma at the principle of social harmony, samagi, which ensures social stability and happiness. If one is to truly understand Buddhism, one's focus should not simply be on the Dhamma teachings, which emphasize spiritual qualities. Buddhism is not merely a collection of Dhamma teachings, it also includes the Vinaya, which address social issues and material concerns. By having a more comprehensive overview, one will get to the heart of the term, Dhamma Vinaya. So I thought I'd stop for a moment in that text and read the sutta in which these 6 principles of cordiality, or the Saraniya Dhammas, 6 virtues conducive to communal life, communal harmony, is mentioned in the Majjhima Nikāya, number 48, Kosambhya Sutta, the Kosambhians. Thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living at Kosambhi in Gosita's park. Now on that occasion, the bhikkhus at Kosambhi had taken to quarreling and brawling and were deep in disputes, stabbing each other with verbal daggers. They could neither convince each other nor be convinced by others. They could neither persuade each other nor be persuaded by others. And the footnote mentions the origin story more in detail of just a dispute over a very minor issue of Vinaya. Then a certain bhikkhu went to the Blessed One, and after paying homage to him, he sat down at one side and informed him of what was happening. Then the Blessed One addressed a certain bhikkhu thus, "Come, bhikkhu, tell those bhikkhus in my name that the teacher calls them." "Yes, Venerable Sir," he replied, and he went to those bhikkhus and told them, "The teacher calls the Venerable Ones." "Yes, friend," they replied, and they went to the Blessed One, and after paying homage to him, they sat down at one side. The Blessed One then asked them, "Bhikkhus, is it true that you have taken to quarreling and brawling and are deep in disputes, stabbing each other with verbal daggers? That you can neither convince each other nor be convinced by others, that you can neither persuade each other nor be persuaded by others?" "Yes, Venerable Sir." "Bhikkhus, what do you think? When you take to quarreling and brawling and are deep in disputes, stabbing each other with verbal daggers, do you, on that occasion, maintain acts of loving kindness by body, speech, and mind in public and in private towards your companions in the holy life?" "No, Venerable Sir." "So, bhikkhus, when you take to quarreling and brawling and are deep in disputes, stabbing each other with verbal daggers," this print here says dangers, "on that occasion you do not maintain acts of loving kindness by body, speech, and mind in public and in private towards your companions in the holy life." "Misguided men, what can you possibly know? What can you see that you take to quarreling and brawling and are deep in disputes, stabbing each other with verbal daggers? That you can neither convince each other nor be convinced by others, that you can neither persuade each other nor be persuaded by others. Misguided men, that will lead to your harm and suffering for a long time." Then the Blessed One addressed the bhikkhus thus: Bhikkhus, there are these 6 principles of cordiality that create love and respect and conduce to cohesion, to non-dispute, to concord, and to unity. What are the 6? Here, a bhikkhu maintains bodily acts of loving kindness, both in public and in private, towards his companions in the holy life. This is a principle of cordiality that creates love and respect and conduces to cohesion, to non-dispute, to concord, and to unity. Again, a bhikkhu maintains verbal acts of loving kindness. Again, a bhikkhu maintains mental acts of loving kindness. Again, a bhikkhu uses things in common with his virtuous companions in the holy life. Without making reservations, he shares with them any gain of a kind that accords with the Dhamma, and has been obtained in a way that accords with the Dhamma, including even the mere contents of his bowl. This too is a principle of cordiality. Again, a bhikkhu dwells in public and in private, possessing in common with his companions in the holy life those virtues that are unbroken, untorn, unblotched, unmottled, liberating, commended by the wise, not misapprehended, and conducive to concentration. This too is a principle of cordiality. Again, a bhikkhu dwells in public and in private, possessing in common with his companions in the holy life that view that is noble and emancipating, and leads one who practices in accordance with it to the complete destruction of suffering. Footnote says that that particular reference to the view refers to the Eightfold Path factor of right view. This too is a principle of cordiality. These are the 6 principles of cordiality that create love and respect and conduce to cohesion, to non-dispute, to concord, and to unity. And this next section is one that's actually quite important as well. He goes on to expound on that last one of dwelling in common with the noble view that is emancipating, and is also, I think, commented in the commentaries as the reviewing knowledges of one who has entered the stream. Of these 6 principles of cordiality, the chief, the most cohesive, the most unifying, is this view that is noble and emancipating, and which leads the one who practices in accordance with it to the complete destruction of suffering. Just as the chief, the most cohesive, the most unifying part of a pinnacled house is the pinnacle itself, so too of these 6 principles of cordiality, the chief is this view that is noble and emancipating. And how does this view that is noble and emancipating lead the one who practices in accordance with it to the complete destruction of suffering? Here, a bhikkhu gone to the forest or to the root of a tree or to an empty hut considers thus: is there any obsession unabandoned in myself that might so obsess my mind that I cannot know or see things as they actually are? If a bhikkhu is obsessed by sensual lust, then his mind is obsessed. If he is obsessed by ill will, then his mind is obsessed. If he is obsessed by sloth and torpor, then his mind is obsessed. If he is obsessed by restlessness and remorse, then his mind is obsessed. If he is obsessed by doubt, then his mind is obsessed. If a bhikkhu is absorbed in speculation about this world, then his mind is obsessed. If a bhikkhu is absorbed in speculation about the other world, then his mind is obsessed. If a bhikkhu takes to quarreling and brawling and is deep in disputes, stabbing others with verbal daggers, then his mind is obsessed. He understands thus: there is no obsession unabandoned in myself that might so obsess my mind that I cannot know and see things as they actually are. My mind is well disposed for awakening to the truths. So essentially the mind free from the 5 hindrances and wrong view. This is the first knowledge attained by him that is noble, supramundane, and not shared by ordinary people. Again, a noble disciple considers thus: When I pursue, develop, and cultivate this view, do I personally obtain serenity? Do I personally obtain quenching? He understands thus, when I pursue, develop, and cultivate this view, I personally obtain serenity. I personally obtain quenching. This is the second knowledge attained by him that is noble, supramundane, not shared by ordinary people. Again, a noble disciple considers thus, is there any other recluse or Brahman outside the Buddha's dispensation possessed of such a view that I possess? He understands thus, there is no other recluse or Brahman outside the Buddha's dispensation possessed of a view such as I possess. This is the third knowledge attained by him that is noble, supramundane, not shared by ordinary people. Again, a noble disciple considers thus, do I possess the character of a person who possesses right view? What is the character of a person who possesses right view? This is the character of a person who possesses right view. Although he may commit some kind of offense for which a means of rehabilitation has been laid down, still he at once confesses, reveals, and discloses it to the teacher or to wise companions in the holy life. And having done that, he enters upon restraint for the future. Just as a young, tender infant lying prone at once draws back when he puts his hand or his foot on a live coal, so too that is the character of a person who possesses right view. He understands thus, I possess the character of a person who possesses right view. This is the fourth knowledge attained by him that is noble, supramundane, not shared by ordinary people. Again, a noble disciple considers thus, do I possess the character of a person who possesses right view? What is the character of a person who possesses right view? This is the character of a person who possesses right view. Although he may be active in various matters for his companions in the holy life, yet he has a keen regard for training in the higher virtue, training in the higher mind, and training in the higher wisdom. Just as a cow with a new calf, while she grazes, watches her calf, so too that is the character of a person who possesses right view. He understands thus, I possess the character of a person who possesses right view. This is the fifth knowledge. Again, a noble disciple considers thus, do I possess the strength of a person who possesses right view? This is the strength of a person who possesses right view. When the Dhamma and discipline proclaimed by the Tathagata is being taught, he heeds it, gives it attention, engages it with all his mind, hears the Dhamma as with eager ears. This is the sixth knowledge. Again, a noble disciple considers thus, do I possess the strength of a person who possesses right view? This is the strength of a person who possesses right view. When the Dhamma and discipline proclaimed by the Tathagata is being taught, he gains inspiration in the meaning, gains inspiration in the Dhamma, gains gladness connected with the Dhamma. He understands thus, I possess the strength of a person who possesses right view. This is the seventh knowledge attained by him that is noble, supramundane, not shared by ordinary people. When a noble disciple is thus possessed of 7 factors, he has well sought the character for realization of the fruit of stream entry. When a noble disciple is thus possessed of 7 factors, he possesses the fruit of stream entry. That is what the Blessed One said. The bhikkhus were satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. I think I have time to read the next section here in Buddhadhamma, which is a great section coming up too. This is section H on page 934, sharing of material gains within... section I, sorry, I was just about to read what I already read. Section I, goodness in people's hearts actively supports society. Both in respect to the monastic community and to the lay community, the basic foundation for social happiness rests with the same group of spiritual qualities, the loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity, the 4 divine abidings. But when establishing a system of practice in social situations, another set of factors must be defined, based on the foundation of spiritual qualities above, which can be applied in the domain of conventional reality. The 6 virtues conducive to communal life, Dhamma, practiced by the monastics, are based on the 4 divine abidings. But it is difficult to establish this same set of 6 virtues in the context of lay life. Take, for example, the 4th factor of equally distributing material gains. This is realistic and achievable in the monastic community, but very difficult to implement in everyday society. Generally, the best people can do in this context is to defer to this principle of sharing everything with others, or else they sidestep the issue altogether. For this reason, another group of factors was established as a practical guide for lay society. If asked what those factors are, I wonder how many Buddhists are able to answer. As an aside, I have observed that lay Buddhists are generally not able to properly distinguish between internal spiritual factors and practical principles applied in external social circumstances. For example, many people refer to spiritual qualities like loving kindness and compassion and talk about them as if they are principles for practical application in society. This causes confusion and misunderstanding for the speaker as well as for others. He has a footnote here that says, refers to an example of Dr. Joseph Sutton from Indiana University, who in 1962 came to work in Thailand. During that time, Dr. Sutton wrote an analysis of Thai society in regard to Buddhism and developed his book, Problems of Politics and Administration in Thailand. He cited a passage by Albert Schweitzer stating that in Buddhist societies, benevolent acts do not require any real action at all, because according to the Buddhist teachings, all one needs to do is stay at home and spread thoughts of loving kindness. And he says, here I'm simply paraphrasing the passage. Thai people are probably at fault here by practicing incorrectly and giving Dr. Sutton the impression expressed in this passage. It thus behooves the Thai people to understand the Buddhist teachings correctly and to redeem themselves. It's a great footnote. As mentioned above, the 6 virtues conducive to communal life are based on the 4 divine abidings. Yet it is obvious that in this teaching, loving kindness is not simply an emotion stored in the heart. Rather, it is applied outwardly as physical acts of loving kindness, verbal acts of loving kindness, and thoughts of loving kindness. In the context of lay society, the 4 divine abidings are expressed as principles of practical application in the teaching of the 4 bases of social solidarity, Sangha. And I hadn't heard that term before, and I don't know why. It's certainly in the teachings. And the description he's about to give is actually even more detailed than what I found in the suttas in the Anguttara Nikāya 4's number 32, called the Sangha Sutta. Earlier we discussed generosity, dana, in the context of inner development as part of the 3 bases of meritorious action. Here we will discuss generosity in the context of practical application for householders as part of the 4 bases of social solidarity. The 4 bases of social solidarity are applied to external social situations, or they are paired, social situations. They are paired with the internal spiritual factors of the 4 divine abidings. 1, generosity, dana. A, one gives to others in an ordinary situation in order to express one's love and well-wishing, one's kindness and consideration. This is giving with loving kindness. B, one gives to others who are distressed or sick in order to offer assistance. This is giving with compassion. C, one gives to others who have performed a benefit to society, for example, to a skilled inventor, in order to offer support and encouragement. This is giving with appreciative joy. That's generosity. 2, kindly speech, piya vaca. A, one speaks kind, polite, and courteous words in ordinary situations. This is speech with loving kindness. B, one speaks comforting words and offers wise advice when others are confronted with difficulty. This is speech with compassion. One speaks words of rejoicing and admiration when others perform good deeds and engage in meritorious, wholesome acts. This is speech with appreciative joy. 3 acts of service. One helps and provides support by wishing them well. These are acts of service with loving kindness. B, one helps others by way of one's physical efforts or by way of one's wisdom and proficiency to escape from difficulty when they are faced with hardship and affliction, say from floods and fires or a workload exceeding their strength. These are acts of service with compassion. C, one helps others when they perform beneficial actions, for example, when they organize an almsgiving ceremony in a monastery or by lending a hand and encouraging their acts of goodness. These are acts of service with appreciative joy. And 4, even and equal treatment. Fair and just treatment of others. This factor corresponds with equanimity, upekkha. Equanimity is expressed by way of this even and equal treatment, by non-favoritism, by non-discrimination, by refraining from disparaging or exploiting others, by just behavior, and by integrating oneself and living in harmony with others. When one reaches the stage of practical application, one needs to engage on this level of the 4 principles of service. One should not simply recite the 4 divine abidings in a vague and ambiguous way. Otherwise, the criticisms, say by the Western author mentioned in the last footnote, are justified. Rather than condemn the critics, we should explain to them the truth of the matter. By practicing in accord with these 4 principles, one fosters happiness and harmony in one's community. One helps to create an environment conducive to each individual's well-being, success, and development. Moreover, acting in accord to benefit society is inherently a form of self-development. For this reason, it is said that serving others is a form of spiritual practice. By acting in order to benefit others, one automatically benefits and develops oneself. Take, for example, a bodhisattva who engages in Dhamma practice and develops the perfections, parami, by helping others. Indeed, the very act of helping others constitutes his or her Dhamma practice. In order to effectively help others, one must apply wisdom and skill and be cultivating an advanced stage of spiritual practice. By successfully helping others, we ourselves undergo a spiritual transformation. Our wisdom faculty and other spiritual capabilities are strengthened. In order to practice the Dhamma correctly, one must thus accord with 2 teachings by the Buddha. First, the Buddha presented the pair of factors consisting of non-harming of oneself and non-harming of others. Second, he taught the pair of factors, attending to personal well-being and attending to the well-being of others. This second teaching less commonly consists of 3 factors: self-benefit, benefit of others, and mutual benefit. These 2 factors of attending to one's own personal matters and attending to the concerns of others are always paired with one another. Okay, that ends that section. So, any questions or comments? Social application of these good qualities? All very good dhammas to keep in mind and review, particularly the one that I read out from the Kosambiyan Sutta, that 6th factor of the reviewing knowledges for one who has right view. Just really good, I find, to kind of review in my own mind over and over again and bring to mind good reflections.
And the whole thing that I keep coming, like the Kosambi, because the Kosambi Sutta, and they have some disagreement about the toilet protocols, and it's like a small Vinaya issue, yet they don't reflect on the offenses they're creating by stabbing each other with verbal daggers and quarreling.
Yeah, also in that particular sutta, then they delighted in the Buddha's words, but another sutta, they actually sort of said,
They dissed him.
They dissed him. Yeah, sort of.
Let us do it.
Yeah, let us deal with it.
Go along your way,
Yeah,
Venerable Sir.
yeah.
And he did go along his way.
He did. He bailed.
And then the lay people got rid of it all, got annoyed and stopped feeding the bhikkhus, and that was what finally made them come around.